No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for February 19th, 2024. Shout out to everybody watching, whether it's live or on demand. WWE Elimination Chamber is this coming Saturday, live on Peacock. It will be very early for the United States citizens. 5 p.m. or not 5 p.m. I wish 5 a.m. for the East Coast and 2 a.m. for the West Coast. It is going to be a happening. We got 2 Elimination Chamber matches. We got Raw to talk about, so let's break it down. We kicked off Monday Night Raw from Anaheim, California. No, I was not there. Didn't feel like going. We had Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. Big match to open up Raw. Could be on a premium live event. Now, Michael Cole noted on commentary that Roman Reigns, the WWE Universal Champion, gave Grayson Waller some marching orders for this Saturday. This is how you know it's a B pay-per-view. We have a Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on Saturday. Yes, we're getting a Grayson Waller effect on the premium live event. But it is Australia, and I'm sure he'll still act like a heel. Give him his segment. Anyways, very good match here with Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. Very competitive with these two. Cody put on the figure 4 early. McIntyre was able to reverse it, and then Cody had to get to the rope. And then after the commercial break, McIntyre worked over Cody. Cody was struggling for a bit, but then Cody took an opportunity when McIntyre was trash talking. Cody hit a Cody cutter. McIntyre kicked out. And then we had another commercial break. Drew McIntyre regained the upper hand. Cody was able to avoid the Claymore. He hit the pedigree, but could not make the cover right away on Drew. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." McIntyre recovered. He hit the Future Shock DDT, but he started favoring the knee from the figure 4 earlier. Cody delivered a big superplex and then hit a top rope Cody cutter, but McIntyre was still able to kick out. And then we had outside interference. We had Jimmy Uso run down, and while the referee was distracted, Solo Sikoa hit the Samoan spike on Cody. Drew McIntyre was able to score the 1-2-3 victory with the help from the Bloodline, and it was noteworthy that this was Cody's first pinfall loss since WrestleMania 39. And Drew McIntyre was the benefactor. Now, this is interesting. There's reports that McIntyre has not signed a new WWE contract yet, but here he is picking up some big wins on Monday Night Raw, including this one over Cody. That's significant. I mean, you have to think Drew McIntyre is staying with WWE. I do not see him leaving the company. He's got a big feud with CM Punk once Punk recovers from his torn tricep injury. Somebody had to lose here, Hamp, and there was the interference. And again, the storyline here is that the deck is stacked against Cody, and they're trying to make it seem like the Bloodline has Cody's number. And again, it was only Cody's second loss. Remember, when The Rock was a top babyface in WWE during the Attitude Era, he was taking pins all the time. This was Bloodline blatantly interfering and clearly screwing Cody out of the match. We had another Andrade video package, and he referred to himself as a third generation luchador, and he said he controls his own destiny and his destiny is WWE. And what's interesting is they did refer to him in this video as Andrade El Idolo. So maybe he is going to use his AEW name for this new WWE run. Michael sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. I appreciate it. Michael said, is Sami Zayn facing Gunther or Okada at WrestleMania? I do not think he's facing Okada. I think Okada is going to AEW. Now, we'll talk about the Sami Zayn segment here in just a few moments. I'm not exactly sure where this is going with Sami Zayn, if he's facing Gunther or somebody else. But we'll talk about that more here in a few moments. Thank you for the super chat, Michael. We had Pat McAfee, by the way. They were recapping the interference of the Bloodline, and Pat McAfee was doing the old Bobby Heenan routine where he was drawing on the screen, doing the little doodles, which I think is some sports thing that was done decades ago. And it's not exclusive to Bobby Heenan. It was him doing a parody of that. I'm not a sports guy, but I remember Bobby Heenan doing that all the time in the late 80s and early 90s. Anyways, Pat McAfee was doing that, so wanted to take note of that. And also, Seth Rollins made a brief appearance on the show in a backstage segment where you had Cody Rhodes very upset. He was talking with Adam Pearce, and Rollins came in. He just patted Cody and then walked off. Now, I think this is all to continue this storyline where Rollins wants to be Cody's shield and have his back. And will this lead to a tag team match? I mean, I presume we're going to find out on Sunday where this is going with the Cody and Seth Rollins alliance. I mean, it definitely feels like a tag match to me, but I mean, nothing is set in stone yet. But we do have Saturday, and Saturday would be as good of a time as ever to set something up for a potential tag match at WrestleMania. We had our last chance women's battle royal with the winner getting that final spot in the Elimination Chamber match on Saturday, with the winner facing the women's champion at WrestleMania. Now, we had Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark out there, and then we had Raquel making her return, first time in several months. She is back, and she was a surprise this match, not announced in advance. It was a pretty good battle royal for the women. Indy Hartwell did not win, so she is not going to Australia to compete in her home country, unfortunately for her. She got taken out. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark were working well together during this match. Raquel got some eliminations, and it came down to 2-on-1. Shayna and Zoe against Raquel. And Raquel was able to eliminate both of them, but Chelsea Green was never officially eliminated. They did this routine where she got back in the ring, teased throwing out Raquel, but Raquel reversed it and sent Chelsea Green out, officially punching her ticket in. I mean, no surprise here. I think once Raquel showed up, like, is she really going to lose her first match back? I figured she would win as soon as she came out there, and that was that. And thank you to D. Martin Fifth, who sent in a $5 super chat, just as a reminder as to what Bobby Heenan's little segment was that Pat McAfee is doing a parody of. I think Jerry Lawler did it too. Bobby Heenan used the telestrator and called it the brain scan. Yes, Bobby Heenan. I remember him the most. I know several people did that routine. I believe Jerry Lawler did it too, and now Pat McAfee is doing it. We had a sit-down interview. Michael Cole was speaking to Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax, but they were in different areas, not in the same place at the same time. And Rhea Ripley talked about breaking in WWE and finding her own personality, and this is going to be her first time going to Australia and competing as a WWE superstar. And then Nia Jax basically laughed at her, said her story was cute, but she's twice Rhea's size and triple her talent. Nia said she's going to squash Rhea Ripley, and Mommy is going to go home crying to Mommy in Australia. And then Rhea said that Nia's nightmares will become reality at the Chamber. And then she threw off her microphone and all of her equipment that she had on. Segment was fine. I mean, didn't really do anything for me as far as adding more excitement to the match. I mean, I do not see Nia Jax winning, so it was all right. We have WWE is greater than AEW sending in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, can we see Andrade joining the LWO and joining back up with Zelina Vega? Well, I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it. I think they're trying to have Andrade stand on his own. What I'm wondering is, once Charlotte returns, what is the situation going to be? Because Charlotte is SmackDown. So does Charlotte go to Raw, or will Andrade, in fact, go over to SmackDown? Maybe they just want to have a Latino star on Raw. They already got Rey Mysterio and LWO and Legado on SmackDown, and Andrade can stand out more on the Raw brand. I mean, maybe that's why they decided to put him on Raw. In which case, I could see Charlotte going to Raw in the draft coming up. And of course, if she's not ready yet, she can just be a free agent and randomly show up on Raw or whatever. We had an R-Truth and Judgment Day video package. Very entertaining stuff as usual. Jackie Redmond was talking to R-Truth outside the Honda Center. He was wearing a poncho. It was pouring rain here in Southern California. My mom is the one who's obsessed with frogs. I like frogs, but my mom loves frogs. Just for those of you wondering, all the frog get up in the background. I am visiting my mom. That's why I'm in California. So R-Truth talked to Jackie and said that when he joined Judgment Day, it felt special, like the first time John Cena tried on jean shorts. R-Truth talked about being heartbroken about what Judgment Day did to him, but he has new friends, DX, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, which of course is DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. He said that Judgment Day cannot bully people, and then he did the little heart symbol, and the crowd erupted in R-Truth chants. They just love R-Truth so much. I mean, he feels like he's more over than he's ever been in his career. He's great, and I wonder if we're gonna get, as Hamp pointed out, I wonder if we're gonna see Miz and R-Truth versus Judgment Day for the tag titles at WrestleMania. Maybe R-Truth finally gets pushed seriously for the first time in a long time. Shout out to WWE is greater than AEW for another $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, also, you should talk more about TNA or whatever they are calling themselves now on your no DQ reviews, LOL. Well, TNA hasn't been mainstream in a long time. I don't know if they're ever going to get to that point again. But yeah, if there's a significant enough story about TNA, I could see us talking about that. There's a lot of interesting things going on right now with Scott D'Amore being gone and all these wrestlers tweeting out the hourglass emoji. It's interesting. And maybe we will at some point, depending on what news comes out over the next several weeks. So we had Michael Chandler, who is a UFC fighter. He was at ringside and he was interviewed. He took the mic and basically he called out Conor McGregor, who is a legendary MMA fighter. And this was interesting. I guess it's part of the whole crossover between WWE and UFC. And I thought what was in particular interesting about this was the fact that they made such a big deal out of focusing on that WrestleMania sign that's up in the rafters. Of course, this is probably going to get some mainstream publicity, so it gives WrestleMania publicity. But could they potentially at some point have an actual UFC fight at a WWE Premium Live event? I would not rule anything out at this point. But yeah, they're trying to do something with McGregor, and who knows if that's going to happen. We had a Chad Gable promo vowing to end Ivar's momentum and start building his own momentum for WrestleMania. More on that in a few moments. We had an 8-man tag team match. We had R-Truth teaming up with The Miz and DX, aka DIY, versus the Judgment Day. Things quickly broke down and good guys cleared the ring, and just for fun, they all did the crotch chops. And then after the break, Judgment Day took control for a while. Crowd was chanting R-Truth. He got a hot tag, did the John Cena moves, but then Priest tagged in. Truth was sent into the ring post, and then we had another commercial break. Ciampa tagged in after the break, built up some momentum. Things broke down with everybody doing their moves. R-Truth was back in. Priest tagged in, and Truth came close, but no cigar, and Priest was able to pick up the win with the South of Heaven chokeslam. Entertaining match. Poor R-Truth loses again, but yeah, I do feel like we're getting an awesome Truth versus Judgment Day tag team title match at WrestleMania. I mean, that seems to be the most likely direction, even though R-Truth has been a comedy wrestler. He's one of the most over guys in the company right now. So I would be shocked if that doesn't happen at this point. So moving on here, we had Sami Zayn backstage, interviewed again about trying to win a championship. He said he's gonna put Drew McIntyre on the back burner for now. He believes there is a path for him at WrestleMania to do something historic and become a champion. So earlier the question was, is Sami Zayn going to have a title match at WrestleMania? That remains to be seen, because I think there's another option, and we'll get to that in a second, or a few minutes, not a second. We had Becky Lynch coming to the ring for a promo segment, and for me, this was the low point of the show. For those of you that have followed No DQ and watched my streams for a while, you know why. So Becky Lynch wearing her backwards hat, how do you do, fellow kids? She ripped into Rhea Ripley, said she's the biggest threat to Rhea's title. She's the best she's ever been. She did put over opponents, and then Liv Morgan interrupted. Liv Morgan came to the ring. This is one time where Hamp and I will be in agreement. Liv came to the ring, and she said she's a big fan of the hat. What is this? Jake Hager and AEW with the hat? I mean, come on now. So Liv talked about wanting revenge because Rhea Ripley turned against her and then put her on the shelf for a while. And this would have been okay if it was just this as the segment. But then we had Raquel come out there. So this was one of those segments. And when Raquel comes out, you know the others are just standing. They're like in a little assembly line. They're just one after another, each have their microphone ready to come out there and say what they got to say. I hate these segments. They just feel so forced and unnatural. I do not like them at all. In fact, I think I dislike them even more than contract signing segments. So, of course, Naomi interrupted. And then Tiffany Stratton interrupted. She's got new music, apparently, which I didn't even notice because I thought her other music, whatever music she was using before tonight, I thought was bland. So, yeah, I didn't even realize that she had different music. And then, sure enough, Bianca Belair interrupts. So every person comes out, gets on the mic, says their stuff. You know, I find these segments boring and very unnatural. So anyways, they get into a big brawl, and then Nia Jax showed up and beat them all up, which is interesting. I mean, you want to push Nia Jax as a challenger, but do you really want to lay waste to everybody when she's just jobbing to Rhea Ripley, and then one of these people she beat up is getting the WrestleMania match? It's kind of weird to me. So yeah, was not a fan of this segment. Unfortunately, this is the dud of the night. I should make a graphic for this. Dud of the night would be this segment. City by the Bay sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, what would you change about Raw and SmackDown right now if you could? Well, no more of these segments. I mean, that's the easy answer. No more contract signing segments. And I would throw in some more surprises and maybe bring back some old legends for one-off appearances, just to have them spice up the show a little bit. Like I want a little bit more unpredictability. I say this about AEW, and I'll say it about Raw too, especially for Raw. You need something to keep people guessing and make them think that anything can happen. Like that's the biggest thing I miss about Raw. Like it just feels like it's better than it was. I will give WWE credit for that. It is better than it was a couple years ago when Vince was still around. But it could still be better. It's tough though. I mean, Triple H has said this publicly that 3 hours is tough. We had Gunther cutting a promo for his match against Jey Uso. And yeah, 2 hours. If I could make that change and it would be approved, absolutely 100% go back to 2 hours, but that ain't going to happen. Nakamura had a little video where he talked about Sami Zayn. He's going to make sure Zayn stays an underdog by defeating him once again. We had Chad Gable versus Ivar, and they were both on the outside of the ring. Gable came off the top with a flying clothesline, but then Ivar regrouped, powerbombed Gable on the barricade. We had a commercial break. Gable targeted the knee, but he could not pick up Ivar for the big German suplex. He did apply an ankle lock, but Ivar broke out. And then Ivar came off the top with a big sit-down splash, but Gable kicked out. Gable avoided the doom salt and then was finally able to do the big suplex. And this looked great. I mean, Gable is awesome. And he had a big moonsault off the top. Ivar kicked out, but then Gable applied an ankle lock, and the big man Ivar did tap out. Good match here with these two. And again, Gable deserves this. And as far as Sami Zayn goes, like Sami Zayn wants to be a champion. Chad Gable, though, is building up something. So that is what I was talking about earlier. Like there's more than one option here. Like who's going to go for the championship at WrestleMania? Is it going to be Sami Zayn or Chad Gable? Will it be a triple threat? for the championship. Who knows? Maybe that's where they're going with this. So we had Drew McIntyre interviewed, and he vowed to win the chamber, said he's the true workhorse of WWE. We also had New Day cut a promo on Imperium. Next week, they're going to have a tag team match, no rules, street fight. New Day had the kendo sticks. That's coming up next week. And we had our main event of the evening. Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship against main event Jey Uso, who did in fact get a main event on Monday Night Raw. Gunther shoved him, so Jey slapped Gunther, and Gunther, he got fired up. He got very aggressive, and he was beating the holy hell out of Jey Uso with chops and various strikes. After the commercial break, Jey gave Gunther a Samoan drop on the announce table, started to build up some momentum, got him back in the ring, went for a spear, but Gunther caught him with a drop kick, delivered his big power bomb, but Jey kicked out, and then Jey sent Gunther out of the ring, went through the ropes with a dive, and then we had another commercial break. They traded shots. Gunther took him down with some chops. Jey, though, managed to avoid a big boot. He hit a spear. Gunther was able to kick out. And then Jey managed to hit another one, and then a third one on the apron, fourth one on the floor, got Gunther back in the ring, hit a fifth spear, and then went up top, hit the big splash. He was on the verge of winning the championship, but then the bell rang before the 3 count. And as it turns out, it was that scoundrel, Jimmy Uso, ringing the bell to screw over his brother. And Jey went outside the ring, attacked Jimmy. There was security out there. And then Jey got on the top rope, went for another splash. But this time, Gunther got his knees up, and then he rolled up Jey and got the 1-2-3 victory to retain his championship. No surprise here. I mean, I mentioned this last week. Like, the obvious finish here was Jimmy Uso interfering. And then after the match, Jimmy beat the hell out of Jey, took him out with 2 big splashes off the top, yelled at him, said, no matter how big you get, I'm the real big brother. And yeah, he was standing tall. We had the WrestleMania logo. Very clear that it is, in fact, Jey versus Jimmy for WrestleMania, which, I mean, makes the most sense to me. Like, they planted the seed at SummerSlam, and they did the slow build, keeping them on separate brands to be able to stretch this out to WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, I fully expected this, and I thought it was a good angle at the end. Very good match, predictable, but I thought the execution of it was good. Overall, it was a good Raw. I give it a B. I did think it was a good show. Wrestling-wise, it was strong, although I did think the main event was predictable, and even the opening match, with the Bloodline interfering, no real surprise there. And yeah, some other good matches on the show. Women's Battle Royal was good, and the Ivar match with Chad Gable was good. Solid show. R-Truth stuff was entertaining. Very solid. I think a solid B is fitting for this Raw. But yeah, unfortunately, that Women's Elimination Chamber promo segment, that was a miss for me. Like, that brings down the show a little bit. But all in all, I enjoyed Raw. So thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Got a D+ from Hamp Connell. Matthew gives the show a B. Philip Sapp liked it a lot, gave it an A-. So some people liked it, some people don't, but that's the nature of television. Like, you can't please everybody, and some things people like, some things people don't like, and that's just the way it goes. I appreciate you all watching, and don't forget, This Saturday, we got Elimination Chamber. I will be doing the live results coverage on NoDQ.com. And Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, Elimination Chamber predictions. 4 matches, a whopping 4 matches, but we will be doing a predictions video. Tune in for that. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Take care. Say yes to NoDQ.com and buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/merch. And I will see you all next time.